Welcome to WAVE 101 Lesson 7. Today, Denise will talk about the benefits of following your desire, and I'll talk about Step 2 in Devotional Bible Study, Finding the Lessons. But first, let me tell you a story about what happened to me when I first started Dallas Seminary. We arrived in Dallas the summer before I was to enter in the fall, and I was nervous about entering because I had come up through an engineering background, and I was hearing stories about the workload at Dallas, and especially how much reading there was. 1,000 pages a week, and a number of things I wasn't used to. In engineering, we would read 1 or 2 pages, and we'd maybe write 20 pages of assignments. So I was nervous about this, so I interviewed each student I could find, and I asked them, so what's it like? And they all said the same thing. They said they've never worked so hard in their life, but they've never enjoyed anything so much either. So that didn't exactly help my nervousness. So I went to the bookstore, the Dallas bookstore, and I was looking for help with this problem. And I came across a book and bought it called How to Read a Book. I figured that should help. I take it home and start reading. And then I noticed How to Read a Book was 400 or 500 pages long. And school was starting in a couple of weeks. So I went back to the bookstore and I found another book called How to Read Better and Faster. So I bought that book so I could get through How to Read a Book. True story. Then the day came and we started the workload. After the first week, I had received all the assignments for the entire semester, and I'd laid them out on a chart, spread them out as best I could, and Denise and I looked at it, and it was impossible. It was just impossible. My calculations said I was going to need 2 to 3 times as much time each week as were possible to put in. So we were trying to figure out what we're going to do, and I think it was Denise who had this idea, but the thought was, well, okay, what if we tried just doing what you want to do? If you want to study, then study. If you don't want to study, don't. Study what you want to study the most and study what you don't want to study the least. And see how that works. At least, we could fail at this, but if you fail, at least you get what you want out of it. So I thought I didn't have much to lose. I really didn't see any other way of doing it. So I set out to do that. And the most interesting thing happened. When I turned it around like that to try and see what I wanted to do, I discovered what I wanted was very close to what the teachers were asking from me. Then also, creativity came from nowhere, came onto the scene and went to work on this workload. I went and interviewed students who were good in the subjects I was poor in, and I learned new techniques of studying, new techniques of note-taking. And when all the dust settled, that workload became possible. And it was all because it was in service of what I wanted to do, instead of what I felt like I had to do. Now, make no mistake, doing what you want to do is not always a guarantee for success. And when the workload came down to crunch time and I didn't feel like working, that was a difficult moment. But what it did is it got me operating at peak efficiency, got me accomplishing the very most I could with any amount of time. And it informed me when I was able to successfully push and when I needed a break. Because all the while I was in touch with what I wanted to do. All of those things happen.
Your desire is your most effective tool to negotiate the collection of conflicting requirements that can come upon you. There's just no more effective arbitrator regardless of personality. Because if you are a hard-driving person, Desire helps you not burn out. You are able to figure out what's important instead of thinking everything is equally important. And then desire also helps the free spirit learn how to just sort of focus in without feeling forced. And desire can help the defeated person who's sort of gone belly up find a starting place of something that they want to do. But you know, your truest and deepest desires don't live in a vacuum. They live in the same place as all those shallow and fleeting desires. So it becomes important to learn how to strengthen your truest and deepest desires so that you follow them. God's blessing on you.
The first step in devotional Bible study is seeing the facts. That's where you just look at the passage and identify isolated items in the passage without trying to understand the passage. The second step in devotional Bible study is surfacing the lessons. That's what can be learned from the passage. There's a fill-in for that in the book if you're following on page 49. Also, it's in the electronic lesson. Step 2, the lessons, finding the lessons in the Bible, is where we ask and answer the question, what can be learned from the passage? This step, the first step is the very most important of all four. This step is probably the trickiest step. It takes practice. Don't be worried if it doesn't make sense to you right off or you don't get it right off. Keep at it. It's a little bit tricky, but you'll get it. Let's give an example so we can show you what it's like. The example comes from Psalm 28, verse 7. I'm just going to use the first phrase from the NASB. The Lord is my strength and shield. The Lord is my strength and shield. Okay, in the first step of Bible study, we're just surfacing facts from that passage. So we could say, he's talking about the Lord. There's a fact. He's saying, the Lord is my strength. You can use the exact same words in the passage if it makes the most sense to you. He's also saying, the Lord is my shield. So these are facts, and you haven't identified meaning yet. In this second step, you try and look at the facts you surfaced in the first step and try and formulate what you can learn from this passage. It's kind of like a principle. If you can form a principle out of the passage. So let's look at this one. The Lord is my strength and shield. We can focus first on the idea that we have the Lord and He's being compared. It says, He is my strength. The Lord is my strength. So, to form that into a principle, you could say, what is strong about me is that I am connected to the Lord. That's as opposed to what's strong about me is my talents or my skills or my wealth. This passage, as far as a principle, what you can learn about it, it's saying that God is, what is strong about me is that I'm connected with God. You can also look, instead of at the word strong, look at the word shield. The Lord is my strength and shield, and see if you can come up with a principle about shield. The Lord is my shield. How could you put that into a principle? You could say a shield is like when you're in a battle, it protects you from the arrows or whatever, bullets, whatever are coming at you. So you can say, I am safe because I'm connected to the Lord. The Lord is my shield. My safety is my connection with the Lord. So you see how that turns isolated facts into something that can be learned. So, next time, Denise is going to talk about deceitful desires. And we're going to talk about step 2 lessons again with a second example. Give it a try on the passages you see. I think you'll find this will start getting you in touch with the meaning and the benefit of the scripture passages you're looking at. Lord bless you.